Today, we are pulling back the curtain on something we do literally every single day talking. But beneath the surface of all our chats, our texts, even our arguments, there's this powerful set of invisible rules and goals that are driving everything. And really, understanding them, well, it's the key to transforming our relationships. So, where do we even start?
How about here? We've all been there, right? A super simple question about what's for dinner somehow explodes into this massive fight that just seems to come out of nowhere. How does that even happen? Well, it turns out it's because we're almost never talking about just one thing at a time.
You see, every single conversation we have is driven by these hidden currents. We're all trying to achieve very specific goals, protect our public image, and satisfy a fundamental human need. Today, we're going to decode those layers, and we'll start with the most basic one of all. Okay, so before we jump into communication strategies, we really need to understand why we communicate in the first place. And the answer isn't just about, exchanging information. It's something that is hardwired right into our DNA for survival. This image right here, it reveals a core human truth. We are absolutely wired for connection. I mean, think about it. For our ancestors, being part of a group meant survival. Being cast out literally meant death. And that instinct, it's still with us. This is why prolonged isolation, like solitary confinement, causes real, measurable physical and psychological harm. Connection isn't just a nice to have. It is a biological imperative. And when we satisfy that deep need for connection, wow, the benefits just ripple through our entire lives. People with strong interpersonal skills don't just have more friends. They're also way better at handling stress and are less prone to anxiety and depression. It's even one of the top skills employers are always looking for. So, to put it simply, improving this one area gives you an advantage in pretty much every other. So if connection is our biological operating system, what's the software? Well, it turns out that every single conversation we have is running 3 distinct programs in the background, whether we realize it or not. Let's take a look at the first one. First up, we have what are called instrumental goals. Now, this is the most obvious one. It's the get stuff done part of communication. Anytime you're trying to accomplish a specific task, you're asking for information, requesting help, coordinating plans, you are pursuing an instrumental goal. Here's a perfect example. You ask a friend for help moving. Your main objective is instrumental. You need to get that couch into the new apartment. It seems simple, right? It's just task-focused. But as we're about to see, it's never just about the couch. Because the second program running is all about relational goals. If instrumental goals are about the task, relational goals are all about the people. You can think of it like routine maintenance for your car. You have to constantly do these little things to keep the relationship running smoothly. It's not about one big thing, it's about nurturing the bond over time. And this happens in really modern ways too. Posting a simple thinking of you message on a friend's social media. That doesn't really accomplish a task, does it? But it absolutely services the relationship. Each one of those is like a small deposit into a relational bank account that keeps the connection strong.
And the final goal is self-presentation. The sociologist Irving Goffman had this great analogy for it. He said we're all just actors on a stage. And in every situation, we're managing our face. That is, the public image we want to project. And we're constantly adapting our performance based on our audience and the scene.
This is a perfect example. The instrumental goal might be to help with the newsletter, but the self-presentation goal, it's to be seen as competent and helpful. Now think back to asking your friend for moving help. The instrumental goal is the couch, but you also have a relational goal. You don't want to damage the friendship by asking. And you have a self-presentation goal. You don't want to seem needy. So what happens when those goals collide? Well, when our goals clash with someone else's, conflict is pretty much inevitable. But here's the key insight from decades of research. Successful relationships don't actually have less conflict, they just handle it better. And a huge part of that is understanding your own default conflict style. So, what's your default setting? When a disagreement pops up, do you lean into the fight, wanting to win at all costs? Do you run for the hills and try to avoid it? Or do you try to find some solution that works for everyone? Let's look at the 5 distinct styles. Okay, so this chart maps it all out, and it's built on 2 really simple questions. The vertical axis asks, how much do I care about getting what I want? And the horizontal axis asks, how much do I care about them getting what they want? Where you land on those 2 questions determines your go-to conflict style. Let's see how this works by looking at 2 polar opposites. On one end, you've got the competing style, high concern for your own goals, low concern for theirs. It's that classic, I win, you lose approach. And on the complete other end is accommodating,
Low concern for yourself, high concern for them. A you win, I lose strategy. The other three styles, avoiding, compromising, and collaborating, all fall somewhere in between those two extremes. But hold on, there's another huge layer here. Your conflict style isn't just about your personality. Oh no, it's also deeply programmed by the cultural software you've been running your entire life. Broadly speaking, cultures often fall into one of two categories. You have individualistic cultures, common in places like the US and Western Europe, which really value the self and encourage competition. Then you have collectivistic cultures, common in Asia and South America, which prioritize group harmony above all else. You can probably already guess how this might influence whether someone chooses a competing style versus an accommodating one in a fight.
This all comes down to a really cool concept called face work. We're all trying to save face, right? We want to maintain our public image. In an individualistic culture, that often means defending your own position, proving you're right. But in many collectivistic cultures, it's more important to save the other person's face or even the group's face. So in that context, avoiding a direct conflict isn't a sign of weakness at all. It's a skillful strategy to protect the relationship and prevent embarrassment for everybody involved.
So what's the big takeaway from all of this? The goal isn't to just pick one best conflict style or memorize a bunch of rules. The real skill, the art really, is learning to be a competent communicator. Competence is all about a balance between two things, being effective and being appropriate. Effectiveness is about achieving your instrumental goal. You got the thing done. Awesome. But appropriateness is about maintaining the relationship and following social rules. So the manager who micromanages their team might be effective. Hey, they hit the deadline. But if they steamrolled their team to do it, their communication was totally inappropriate. And trust me, they'll pay for it later with low morale and high turnover. See, true communication competence isn't about winning an argument. It's about skillfully navigating all these hidden layers at once. Your goals, their goals, the relationship, the cultural context, the whole shebang. So think about your week ahead. Pick one conversation, maybe with your boss, your partner, or friend, and just ask yourself what's really going on beneath the surface here. Because that awareness, that's where the real change begins.